Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. So this year I am going to start a new planning routine that's going to include both my full focus planner, which I absolutely love, and then also a bullet journal. I'm not going to talk about the full focus planner, so I'm just going to go ahead and take that out. But this is the first time I have ever used a bullet journal and I am super excited. So this video is just how I'm setting up like my yearly pages. So this will be things that I want to do all year. I'm using a Scribbles That Matter journal. I just wrote my name. I did not make it very fancy. It has a key and an index, and the pages are numbered, which I really like. I did not know they would be numbered, but that was really great. So the first page that I did was just a like 2020 thing. I sketched out in pencil first, and I figured you didn't need to see me do it twice, so I skipped that part. Then I took, this is a Tombow dual tip brush pen. I love these, and this is just a black one. And I used the brush side to go over the 2020. Then I went back over the downstroke. Let me know in the comments how you draw like O's and zeros, because I always start at the top and go to the right. Do you start at the top and go to the left? I've seen a lot of people do that, and I'm wondering if they are weird or if I am weird. I'm not sure. So next up, I'm going to take my little Pitt pen and write over all of the words. I'm going to link the pens I use down below if you are curious and interested. And so I'm just going over this quote. It says, "Life is a lot like jazz. It's best when you improvise," by Gershwin. I think this is kind of a weird quote to put in a planner, but for some reason I found it because I was looking for kind of like 20s theme is what I'm going for here, and I just really liked it. So I'm putting it there anyway. Maybe it'll help me not take life too seriously this year. So next up I'm taking, this is a Tombow pen, but it's called a like Fudanowski? I'm not quite sure exactly how to say it, but it's a brush pen, and I love these for actual lettering because the dual tip brush pens, the brush part is just really large, and so I have a hard time writing smaller letters, which is totally a control thing, and you know, I could just practice more. But I could also use these brush pens, and the brush part is just a little bit smaller, so it's easier to control. And I just absolutely love them, and they just came out with them in all the different colors, and I want to buy them all, but I haven't so far. I only have them in black. You can see I was originally going to put improvise in print, and I changed it at the last minute. Again, I'm new to bullet journaling, so I'm just doing, I don't even know what I'm doing. Then I took my Pitt pen and went over this instrument. It is probably should be a bass because, you know, jazz, but I kind of drew it based on my cello just because I want to play my cello more this year. And my cello was right in front of me as I did this, so that helps too. After that, I took some, oh, nope, first I erased all of the pencil lines. Then I took some Uniball gel pens. I have these in silver, gold, and white, and I just added a little more pizzazz to the page. So I took the gold and just kind of went around the jazz, and I think I added to like improvise, and I made kind of like a loop underneath. I don't know. Again, this is my first time doing this, so I was just doing whatever. I picked my color scheme and kind of my theme, and then I just did whatever was best. If you have ever thought about bullet journaling, I wanted you to feel like you could totally go for it. I then took my silver pen, and I did this all throughout my 2020 pages. I just kind of did like a shadow on the right side, and sometimes I put it on the inside and sometimes I put it on the outside, and I wasn't too careful about it. You can't see it very well on camera, but it makes a huge difference in person. It just makes them look so much nicer and more put together. And it was a really simple way to make it look much more put together. The 2020 page was definitely the longest and most difficult of the whole thing. I don't know if that was because it was first or just because it was intricate, but either way, the rest of it is a lot simpler, I promise. So my next page is my goals page. On this left side of the page, I just wrote goals and did the same thing with the silver on the right side of the letters. And then I think I grabbed my gold. Oh, look, this is why left-handed people should not use gel pens. Yet we tried anyway. So I just did like a little line across the top. And then I kept it going on the other side because this will be a 2-page spread. And then on the corner, I did this little, like, I don't even know what to call it, starburst design that looked kind of 20s to me because that was kind of my theme. I don't honestly like it very much, but it's fine. So that was what I did here. On the other page, I wrote the quarters down. I did not space them out evenly, but you know, whatever. And so I will write my goals for the whole year on the left side, and then I'll break them down into actionable steps by quarter. So I'll say like, okay, quarter 1, I'm going to do whatever. So like if my goal is to read 20 books, which is not true, it's like 32 or 33, I don't know yet. Then I'll put, you know, quarter 1, read 5 books. And just things like that, actionable steps. And there are some things that I am only working on in certain quarters or like waiting until third quarter. And so that just helps it seem a lot less stressful instead of like, here's a whole list of a million things to do. It's like, oh, okay, here are the things I need to do in the next 3 months. Highly recommend that if goals stress you out. If you are weirded out by how I'm holding the page, I want to tell you, I just write this way. So I am looking at my journal the same way that you are looking at it from the camera. And yes, holding my paper completely sideways in order to write. I can't explain it. It's super weird, but it works. So on this page, I am writing big, crazy goals. And so these are things that are not things I'm going to do this year, but like long-term goals. So things like travel to Europe. I know I'm not traveling to Europe this year, but it's in the back of my mind because I want to make it happen in the next few years. And just different things like that that are big, and I want to remember them. I want to keep them in the forefront of my mind, so I have them in these front pages, but they're not things that I am actively doing right this second, or things that I will do this year. I did the same thing with the silver on the right side, and then on goals, I did it with gold, and that really helped it kind of stand out from the other 2 words and just made it a little more interesting. Again, this is a super, super easy way to add a little pizzazz to your letters if you have no idea how to make letters look pretty. I also will do it with some print later on in the video if you don't feel comfortable with the cursive. So next up, I just outlined this box in gold, and then you'll see I did like a little design kind of in the edge that was kind of 20s themed. So I just did like 3 consecutive, is that what I want? 3 boxes inside of each other. And I did that all the way around. Then I thought that wasn't quite enough, and so I added these little like circular things, and I didn't like it. But it's okay. So I really didn't like this, but that's not a big deal anyway, because I went to erase the pencil lines and ended up smearing my gel pens like all over the place, and it looked terrible and I just couldn't handle it. And you can see it right here. Look at that. Ugh. So I rewrote it on paper and then glued it onto black paper so that it wouldn't like shine through, because that was just copy paper. And I liked it much better when I left off the little circles and then I added like an extra little box. I'll show it again at the end. I'll flip through like each page, so if you didn't get a chance to see something quite how you wanted, that's okay. This page I'm calling my 2020 bucket list. So these are things that are things I want to do, but they're not like goals I'm working towards. For example, this year in the summer, I am planning to travel to Chicago. So that's something I'm doing this year, something I want to do, but it's not like a goal that I'm actively working towards. So I'm putting it on my bucket list page. So there's lots of things like that, like travel to Chicago, or I want to go see one of the opera screenings in the movie theater, because we don't have opera in Savannah, and just like little things like that that I want to make sure that I do fun things throughout this year. So I just did 2020 and I just wrote it in white gel pen. This is the Uniball pen, and I wrote it multiple times so it has that little stick looking thing, and then the silver on the right side. On bucket, I did it in cursive, and then I just went over the downstrokes with more strokes, and that makes it look kind of like it was brushed instead of just a pen. But I don't have a white brush pen. I've never seen them. I don't know if that's even a thing. So that's how I did that, and then I did the silver on both bucket and list again. After that, I did a little gold line on each side, nothing super fancy. And lazy people tip, if you measure something on one side and you want it to be the same, just line them up and put a dot where it was on that side. These papers were not even the same size. So that's where they are. So I glued these in. And then to actually write my bucket list items, I did little like balloons, and so I did silver and gold and black balloons. I'm not going to show you all of them. I'm not even sure if I'm going to use all of the balloons, but I did a whole bunch just in case. And so I'm going to write the tasks in them, and then when I do them, I'm going to color in the balloons. So this is just my Pitt pen, and I'm just going through and drawing little lines to be the strings. This was like the easiest layout ever, because balloons are basically circles that are not even like perfect circles, so even better. The next page was the future log. So this is basically where you write down tasks and things that are happening this year. So things like I'm going to a wedding, or I'll write down breaks for school and all sorts of things like that. So I'm going to have each month on here, and then also have the dates of the month, and then the tasks, the things that need to get done underneath. On top, I just did like a little line, and then I did these little arches. And inside the arches, I just did like 5 little lines. It kind of looks like a star or a plant or something. I don't know. But it looked cute, and it was super, super, super easy. So I actually did this border a lot. And then I cut the page in half. Not literally, I just used a pen. That way I can fit the whole year on one. I use these little stamps to put all of the dates on each month. So they are like little rubber stamps, and you just stick them to this acrylic block. I will link them down below. I use the block to kind of space out how much space I would need for each month. Went over all the words in silver. Not all. I did every other in silver, and then I went back and did the other ones in gold to make them just a little bit more interesting. So then I used this acrylic block. I did not realize I was completely out of ink. All of my ink was dried up, so I colored it in with one of my Tombow pens. It was not the prettiest thing ever, but it did work. If you are doing this, and if you're writing them in or stamping them, I highly recommend putting your phone open on the side so that you do not totally miss anything. I skipped the next page because I'm going to do like a travel page, and I wanted to just print out a map of the US and stick it on there, but I hadn't printed it out yet, so I just left it and came back to it later. This spread is my favorite. If you've been watching any of my videos, you know I love, 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 love to read. So this is where I'm going to be putting my book trackers. So I just wrote Becca's bookshelf, and so Becca's is with my Tombow Fudanowski, and bookshelf is with my Pitt pen, and then I did a little gold line on the top, and I also did it on the bottom on the right side, and added some extra lines. So the right side is going to be a bookshelf, and so that's why there's so many lines. I added the little decoration that I've already talked about. But basically for this spread, on the left I'm going to write different types of books I want to read, just different suggestions to make sure I don't read like the same thing over and over. So I'll write things like a book that's long, a book that's short, a book you haven't read by your favorite author, something I've read before, books about school, books about business, just different categories so that I read different things throughout the year. And on the right, I put all of these little books, and I'm going to write the names of the books that I read inside them, and then when I finish reading them, I will color them in, so at the end of the year it will look like a nice full bookshelf. Also on the left, for right now, all I wrote was goal, and I left it blank because every year I read one book more than I read the book before, and when I did this, 2019 was not finished, so I didn't know how many books would be my goal. The next page is my business tracker. So this is where I'm going to be putting my goals and keeping track of just how my side hustle is going all year long. If you're interested to know about the couple of months I haven't talked about yet for TPT and how those have gone in income reports, I will be posting a video soon, sometime in January, talking about that. So keep your eyes peeled. I don't know exactly when it will be. On the right, I'm making a little graph, and so each month I will put in how much money I made, and then I'll make just a little, I just completely forgot what it's called. Oh, I don't know. Math teachers, help me out, please. And so I wrote income underneath and did the same little thing. Yes, this is available on TPT, but I like having it in my bullet journal. And then I put goals on the left side, and it's just goals in white written on a black piece of paper. The next page is my project trackers. So I have two like big projects that I am working on this year. So I'm just going to do like left side's going to be one project, right side's going to be the other project, and I will write down all the different tasks that need to get done in order for those projects to get done and check them off as I do them. Not super fancy. However, it's going to be very, very functional. I think all the next couple pages are not very fancy, but they are very functional. I did this little like sunburst decoration up on top just to switch it up so that they were not all exactly the same decor, and I think I like it. The next page is pretty much the same, just a blank spot for now, and so I have blog post ideas on one side and product ideas on the other, so things that I sell on TPT or on my Etsy shop. If you have any suggestions for any of those things, let me know. On the next page, same thing. I just did YouTube on one side and then ideas on the other, so that'll be just any general ideas for anything that I come up with. And you can see I totally messed up ideas and for some reason crossed it like it was a T. And so I took my white gel pen and just went over the sides and it covered it up pretty well. So from here you can't tell that I have forgotten to write. I don't know. I didn't even bother to decorate those. I just did a nice little line. The next page is going to be a savings tracker, and so I just wrote my title the same way I have been. I went back to the little arch detail. I like that one a lot. And then I did little bar graphs, which I will color in as I save money for the two things. You can see that one is a lot more expensive than the other one. And I'll just, so color them in as we get there and put a little key on the side. I did these little circles on top so they would match the arches on top, and I don't really like them. I also wish I had made these bars a lot bigger, but I added 2 more things after I finished this video. So here's my final flip through of my 2020 pages. So I have my title page, my goals page broken down into quarter. My big crazy goals I'm just going to write around the title. My 2020 bucket list. My future log. Yeah, I was not writing all those numbers, y'all. The page I'm leaving blank, which is going to talk about my travel, my book reading, business tracker, and then all of my little notes pages. I hope you found this interesting. I love seeing how other people plan, and I have kind of a new system this year that is going to simplify things. I know this looks like it's not simple, but it's actually going to simplify things. Let me know in the comments if you bullet journal, and if you do, like anybody that you follow, so I can go follow them. Thank you so much for watching, and make sure you like, subscribe, and share, and have a wonderful, wonderful week, and a wonderful, wonderful 2020.